Welcome back. You're now watching the political segment on the Weekend Show, and it's Andy Madaki and Didi. I loved the Vox Pop, which we just saw. I think we need to do more of that.
Yeah, we should. Quite interesting. Made me laugh, insightful as well.
And I like that it was balanced. So well done to Samuel and Tenderly for that. Now, it's just a couple of days to the presidential election. I remember in 2015 when Nigerians were talking about the possibility of a third force, and then in 2019. However, we've seen a bit of a wind of change in the upcoming elections, where a candidate from a party who no one would have thought was in the mix about 12 months ago is now one of the major contenders in the elections. However, we've also seen how an online army has formed up and young people have come out to say, you know what, this is who we want to support. Last week we had someone from the APC and we've also had people from the PDP. But today we have a young, brilliant Nigerian who we found that he has been actively supporting a particular candidate. Why, we would like to know, and what are the chances? And we're talking about the Labour Party candidate, Peter Obi, the Obedience, who, as they are popularly called, and we've seen the rise of his support on social media. How did that happen? What are his plans for Nigeria, and why does he have this support? So having a conversation, joining us we have
FS Yusuf, who is a member, Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Hello, FS. I've seen you on Twitter before, and I found it quite impressive saying that in a time when Nigeria is greatly divided based on religious and regional reasons, you were one of the leading voices who on your own decided, I want to support this person called Peter Obi. How did that happen and why Peter Obi?
So the fact is, we have wasted 8 years of our lives. Like as a millennial, a young person like me, I don't think I want to count the last 8 years of my life. In addition to say maybe if I'm writing my success story or my whole existence, I want to count the last 8 years of my life because I've lost a lot. And it's not just me. Young people out there resonates with this same situation. They can relate. There's this shared identity of experiencing misgovernance in the past 8 years. And we as young people, as informed, energetic, that recognizes the imperativeness of democracy and the opportunity democracy is giving to us. So we are taking our frustration. We are taking our resentment against the type of governments we've been having. We are taking our resentment against police brutality, lack of healthcare, lack of poor education, millions of out-of-school children, insecurity, all forms of misgovernance. So we are taking this frustration, we are taking this anger to the polls.
So, for instance, Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been governor before. Peter Obi has been a governor, Kwankwaso as well, and even Atiku Abubakar, I think, won the Adamawa State, the Adamawa State election before he became vice president. So, all of them have shown a level of competence. Why Peter Obi?
So, you know, in governance is the social contract, right? When you are administering over a people, governing a people, you are carrying out a project that needs to have measurable impact. So now when we look at these candidates that are running for office today, and you put them all on the table and say, okay, let's measure the impact that these people has had on the people they've governed. When you look at Peter Obi, check education, there are measurable impacts that you can point out there and say, hey, this guy took a state from 21st position to first position in SSC registration and also performance of students. While when you look at other candidates, it's just propagandas and stories and make-up fallacies out there that the machination just want to use to deceive the people.
But these other candidates also have amazing track records. If you talk about Tinubu, for example, the infrastructure in Lagos, anyone that goes to Lagos would say that Lagos, when it comes to infrastructure and development in that regard, is actually top-notch. And it happened based on his plans. Atiku also, as vice president, also has his own track records and amazing things he's done. Kwankwaso also has amazing things he's done. So what makes Peter Obi this, as people say on social media, the savior of this election?
So when you are considering a candidate for a presidential office or any political office, there are variables you are looking out for. You are looking out for political will. You are looking out for empathy. You are looking out for experience. You are looking out for policies. You are looking out for political courage. And when you look at all these variables I've listed out, I strongly believe that the candidacy of Mr. Peter Obi check all the boxes. Because when you come into power, there are certain policies that, hey, that's definitely going to test your resolve. There's going to test your resolve in the situation whereby you have to choose between, are you prioritizing the people, or are you prioritizing the political establishment? And this is why I'm so glad that the people are beginning to realize that bringing in a new government has to be the people's project. Election is the people's project. If you don't work towards bringing in a leader that will serve your interests, when you sit back and allow the political establishment to bring in a leader, when that leader gets into power, that leader will definitely serve the interests of the political establishment and not the people. So you don't expect that leader to come into power and have that political will to say, hey, let's make these policies that will ensure that the people are broken, the shackle of poverty is broken, the shackle of poor education is broken, the shackle of lack of healthcare is broken. There is definitely going to be putting the interests of the oligarchs that sponsored this candidate into getting into office, and also the political establishment.
So I have heard some quarters compare Peter Obi to Buhari, and I will explain. In the sense that President Buhari, when he came, it was at a time when Nigerians needed some form of change and hope. And he had a lot of goodwill from the people. However, when he came into power, it took him 6 months to appoint a cabinet, and they said he was doing integrity check, his body language, and all of that, which we heard about. Peter Obi is also known to be frugal and very specific. And so what are the chances that he wouldn't be a micromanager like President Buhari, who would want to spend so much time reviewing, say, the budget or the list of people to appoint, and then we lose another 6 months? How are we sure he's going to be different? Because people had high hopes for Buhari, and it took 6 months to get cabinet. Yeah. You can tell how much that may or may not have affected the economy and several areas in Nigeria. How is Peter Obi going to be different? How do we have the assurance that he wouldn't be a micromanager?
So the fact is that Mr. Peter Obi is not just ready to win, he's ready to govern. He's ready to set the ball rolling from the day he's sworn in into office. Looking at Buhari and looking at Mr. Peter Obi, and people out there like to coin this word and say, hey, Nigerians, young people today are trying to consider Mr. Peter Obi as, say, one messiah. No, we are not looking for a messiah. What we are looking for is a government that can listen. It's a government that can come in and set the ball rolling. It's a government that can come in and change the tide. Because ordinarily, we are not expecting one miracle, say maybe in 1 month time or in 2 months time. But we want to start seeing policies. We want to start seeing not just policies on paper, we want to start seeing these policies put into action. I believe that, okay, during Buhari's time, Nigerians were so tired of insecurity and who the person of, as in the government of Goodluck Jonathan was. But in this case here, Nigerians, besides being tired, they've tested Peter Obi. They've seen his results. And today, Nigerians are more exposed to informations out there than they were in 2015. When you look at the demographics and the interest that young people are putting into politics today, this wasn't the case in 2015. In 2015, I could say there was a form of a packaging of candidates. But today, people are telling you to go and verify. People are coming out to tell you that, hey, this is wrong, this is right. Young people are very interested. We have shows like the Big Brother, we have EPL, and at the end of the day, these people weren't discouraged. They weren't distracted because they know what's at stake. This is a very critical election. Since the return of our democracy, this is the most critical election we're going into because there's a lot at stake.
Okay, can you share some major, 2-3 major policies that Peter Obi will implement if he becomes president?
One of the very paramount policies I'm looking at that Mr. Peter Obi will really prioritize on is the area of our economy. When you look at the mantra he's been running on, converting the economy from a consumption economy to a production economy. And bringing this into life means that, hey, it's going to ensure that we're having an environment where businesses can thrive. And getting business to thrive means it means you are ready to put all the infrastructures, all the projects on ground to ensure that businesses are not struggling to survive. It's recognizing the importance that SMEs and other scale of business has in the economy. It's coming to tackle power immediately. When you look at most businesses closing today, power is an issue. Power is always the major issue why most young business, small businesses, they close and they go out of business. Recently, we were on Twitter having a conversation, and we got to know that this generator we popularly call "I Pass My Neighbor" is sold for 111,000 now. So a few years ago, that generator was sold for 9,000, 11,000. Like when we were in school, living off K, we usually use this generator to augment for power supply. We were buying these generators for 9,000, 11,000 just some few years ago. And today, this generator is going for 11,000. This is the generator that most barbers and other small businesses use in different in interlands and areas out of the cities. So he's coming to go off front with power. And fixing power means you are covering a good lap in fixing the economy. I used to work for a company where the amount of money we're paying for just diesel, like all through the period I spent in that company, we never ran power from as in the government supply power. We're running diesel generator, and this is a company that is here in Abuja, a production company at that has over 300 people on its payroll. So sometimes when I look at the budget that is going for power alone, I'm like, hey, how is this guy going to pay salaries?
So let's talk about the economy. And I remember in 2019, Peter Obi complained about we've been borrowing and borrowing. In 2022, he has flipped it a little bit to say, yes, we will still borrow, but not for consumption, but for production. The next president at the end of next year would have about, or at the end of this year, 100 trillion naira debt profile. He would still need to borrow money. How does he now plan to fix our huge borrowing debt profile while trying to ensure that the economy is stabilized? It's going to be hard to balance all of that. How does Peter Obi, so going away from the mantra of from consumption to production, what are practical ways in which he plans to fix this problem?
So talking about borrowing, the issue here is not just borrowing. What do you do with the money? Do you get to close all possible leakages that when this money comes in, it doesn't go back into pockets, into private pockets? So this is what this current government was not able to do proficiently to ensure that, hey, when this money is coming in, it's being utilized for people-driven projects, for projects that will really serve the people, for projects that will improve the economy. So we don't even have an issue with borrowing. We have an issue with managing the funds, managing the money that is coming into our economy as borrowed funds. So I strongly believe that when Nigerians democratically elect Mr. Peter Obi into office, one of the very paramount things he'll be looking at is, hey, let's seal up all these leakages. Because you can't expect that, oh, you are expecting investors to come into your country, come into your economy, and your economy is all laden with corruptions and nothing to write home about. So closing all these leakages, closing corruption is also a way of encouraging investors to come in. Because as an investor, you don't want to throw your money to the wind. Nobody sows on dry land. Like nobody sows on a place where it won't be where it won't be fertile. Let's assume that you're on this particular land is highly prone to erosion. You don't expect that you go there to sow beans or to sow tuber crops. So everybody wants to sow on lands where
Sorry to interrupt you, but I recall President Goodluck Jonathan in his time started the process of the TSA. President Buhari has implemented it to fix those leakages. But we have civil servants, we have Nigerians. See the case we are having with the Naira scarcity. Some Nigerians are selling 10,000 Naira where you have to give 500 Naira or 2,000 Naira to get 10,000 Naira. There's a problem also with the people. Like I said, GJ started the TSA, Buhari implemented it, but we still have those gaps. So why are we sure that if TSA hasn't fixed these gaps, how are we sure Peter Obi will be able to fix it? What will be different?
Yeah, so in governance and by extension, say in psychology and engaging with people, there's what we call body language. Okay, just like Mr. Buhari now, before he came into power, everybody had this mentality of, hey, this guy is going to be a no-nonsense man. He's coming to fight corruption frontally and ensure that everything gets to normalcy. But getting into power and setting all these policies and starting the execution of these policies, and there is no maintenance of it. Like, say, say Usain Bolt, everybody knows him as the champion. Hey, when he comes in there, he's definitely going to be the first person to reach the finish line. If Usain Bolt is having a very excellent start and at 50 meters into the race is drawing back, then it's not winning it.
But at that point, it's too late because people have already voted the person in.
So what I'm saying is, the case of saying, okay, maybe Goodluck or Buhari was a case of lack of maintenance of these policies, lack of maintenance of this execution that you've set rolling. You're starting this particular project. You have to finish it up. You have to measure impact, and you have to ensure that you are leaving no stone unturned. You are not cutting any slack. Like in the case of this current government, where we had situation whereby some people were like, okay, maybe indicted of corrupt cases. The case was so out there, like, hey, we should see to the end of this case, because is it Mr. Buhari that is handling it, or is this current government that ran on the mantra of anti-corruption that is handling this case? And at the end of the day, it's swept under the carpet. So as an individual, or maybe let's say as a subordinate in that organization, where you're sitting and you're watching that, hey, this person that you're expecting that, oh, the letters of the law should be meted on this person. At the end of the day, the case is swept under carpet. What impression is it passing? Means they are not ready to maintain this anti-corruption fight.
The economy of any country is very important, as well as a power, like in Nigeria in particular. But one policy I expected you to mention earlier was insecurity. Insecurity is a major problem in Nigeria. You can't walk out of your house at night comfortably on your street because you don't know what would happen. So what exactly, or what policies will he put in place to fight insecurity in this country, if elected?
Oh, great. So one of the very paramount projects that Mr. Peter Obi will be looking at when it comes into power to tackle insecurity is, first of all, ensuring that our security apparatus is fit to tackle the kind of insecurity issues we're having. I don't want to say 21st century type of insecurity issue, because our insecurity issue is customized, like it depends on our social activities, our ethnicity and other social parameters. So he is coming into power to ensure that this particular system that is saddled with the responsibility of fixing insecurity is well taken care of. Let's say, for instance, you want a doctor, you're having an epidemic of, say, maybe malaria or typhoid fever, and you want to tackle this situation. You're going to ensure that, oh, the doctors that will be trained to go into the field to fix these situations are doctors that can really tackle such tropical diseases. You can't expect that you are leaving quack doctors to go into the field to tackle this kind of ailment. Because if the government does not engage, say, the police force professionally, you don't expect the police force to engage the citizens professionally. One of the very major divide that we're having between the police force, I'm sorry, this security issue has brought me into police brutality, because police brutality is something I hold very close to my heart, and it's one area of the current problems that I will be really holding Mr. Peter Obi accountable on. Because as obedience, we are not just saying, hey, go into power and let's sit back and watch you. Let's sit back and watch the grasses grow tall. We are saying, where you come in there, we are standing on your neck and say, hey, start the action. Like, let's get to work. Because we brought you here to work. You say you're looking for a job. We've employed you because we feel like, hey, you're the most competent person here. So let's get to work. So one of the areas that Mr. Peter Obi will really be looking on is ensuring that our security outfit is fit enough to tackle these problems. Ensuring that the security personnel are well trained, materials they need is well taken care of. We're going to ensure that the least thing that the security personnel will worry about is, hey, what is my child going to eat? Which school is my child going? Is there a health care for my child, to ensure that, hey, if when I'm in my place of assignment and I'm called that, hey, my child is having malaria, I'm so sure that my child is going to a center where they'll have affordable healthcare and quality healthcare and accessibility. So these are areas that he really wants to tackle. You want to ensure that the divide, the distrust that the people have against the security apparatus is no longer there. You want to ensure that the security apparatus is fit enough to tackle the security problems.
I like your proposals on security, and NSAS is an emotional topic for our generation, because we saw what we saw. It's even a conversation that till today, even in the media, we can't speak about it freely because of different perspectives. Peter Obi, during his time as governor in Anambra State, there was also the notoriety of a particular SARS arm in a particular local government during his time. Are there any records to show how he tackled police brutality and their excesses during his time as governor in Anambra State, which would give us hope that as president he would be able to look into that?
So talking about security, Mr. Peter Obi came into power as Anambra governor and met so many insecurity issues like, I've forgotten the name of this group that were in Anambra then. So the fact is he engaged with the security apparatus. He ensured that some basic materials they need, like provide provision of vans, engaging with the police command and ensuring that no stone is left unturned in these people, in this system, providing security to the people. And in his era, security was improved in Anambra. So many court groups and other armed groups that were ravaging the people and making the lives of the people uncomfortable in Anambra, it became history. In fact, I think I think there's a record I think he wasn't comfortable with a particular police CP, and he wrote to the headquarters and requested for a change, and it was approved. This is to show that he is ready to ensure that the security of lives and property of everyday Nigerians out there is priority to him.
Okay, before we go, can you tell Nigerians why they should go out to vote? You're a candidate.
Dear Nigerians, more than ever before, we've come to the point where we need to take politics, we need to take election very, very important. Politics is a system that affects every aspect of our lives. If I'm buying pure water 5 naira yesterday and I'm buying pure water 10 naira today, it's because of politics. If I'm buying crayfish 50 naira today and tomorrow I'm buying crayfish 100 naira, it's because of politics. If the cost of living is increasing and your wages is not increasing, it's because of politics. Politics affect every aspect of our lives. And when you look at how the world is connected today, not just our local politics, geopolitics, what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in Russia is affecting our economy. So politics is very important. Please get your PVC, go out there and vote for the best candidate, which I strongly believe and I assure you that is Mr. Peter Obi. Because we need to set this country running again. We need to rebrand the name of this country. We need the lives of everyday Nigerians to matter. Because we as citizens, we deserve a better system. Thank you very much. Please get your PVC and go out and vote.
FS Yusuf is a member of the Peter Obi, the Labour Party Presidential Campaign Committee, and he's an active voice for the Labour Party on social media and in the policy space. It's been a pleasure having you on. Wish you all the best in the upcoming election. Now for Nigerians, we have also noticed that this is one election cycle where no one is talking about corruption. For some reason, we focus so much on the economy, but a lot of these leakages, a lot of money has been plundered. In the last 24 years, in the last almost 30 years, no one is talking about how to claw back that money into the economy. Yeah. And now we are suffering as a result of this naira scarcity.
Exactly.
But there are people who have actually stolen money from the government coffers, and I find it quite interesting, which I mean ridiculous, that none of the candidates are talking about how to recover the monies, looted funds within our uninterrupted democratic era. We are just focusing on the economy, but we have a lot of money that we can claw back in. And so Nigerians, ask them these questions. How do they plan to deal with corruption? Also, final rant before we leave. Dear INEC, Nigerians are ready to vote. Nigerians registered to vote. Some of them still haven't been able to get their PVCs. You owe it as a duty to Nigerians to conduct elections when you say you will. People may be scared of postponement, and this causes a high level of apathy, and so we'll say people are not coming to vote. But when you move elections, if you will, which we hope you wouldn't, can you let Nigerians know ahead of time? We don't want the jamboree where at 2 a.m. before the elections are postponed. To our Nigerian viewers and our viewers around the world, it's always a pleasure having these conversations with you every Saturday. We will continue to hold ourselves accountable, hold our political elite and leaders accountable, and also the candidates. For now, that's all we have on today's show. Do follow us on social media at Weekend Show NG on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Our numbers, which you see on the screen, if you want to advertise on the show or if you want to sponsor the show, we are not sponsoring people because we get a lot of those calls. You can follow me on social media at Andy Madaki. You can also follow Didi
at Didi_ on Instagram and Twitter.
And so if you have suggestions for us, if you want us to discuss topics, please send us a DM on our social media pages. And we'll continue to bring the Vox Pop like we did today to hear from everyday Nigerians. It's about you, it's not about us. Until next week, do have a blessed weekend. I see you're very red. Is that for Valentine? Yeah, you're already in the mood.
We're planning towards it.
Hope you have your PVC.
Oh, yes.
I can't wait. It's about time we just get this sorted out. FS, thank you so much for joining us.
Mr. Andy.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank